All right. When you look at the people who were involved in everything, like Donald Trump and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and things like that, and you look at the people as people, look at just the Trump cabinet that he's putting together, that he tried to put together. Every single person that he put into a place, A, because of the timing of that placement prevented other bad shit from happening to like-minded people. For instance, Matt Gaetz was about to have this report come out on all his crimes and underage stuff with details, disgusting fucking details, the things that this man did, that not only protected his reputation and his job and his life and his marriage and everything else in his world, but also gave him the opportunity to possibly promote himself in his life to attorney general. Now, we all know that wasn't going to go through the Senate. No, it wasn't going to be confirmed. Most of these people wouldn't be confirmed through the Senate. So, what did Trump try and do? Trump tried to get around that by trying to get his buddies in Congress and everywhere else to pass rules saying that it's okay, it doesn't need Senate confirmation. Or he tried the, while on vacation type of appointments, all the bullshit tricks that they can pull. So he tries to do that for people like Matt Gaetz. Cash Patel is someone that grew up in a really ritzy area, with everything handed to him. Always kind of felt like he was an outcast. Always kind of felt bullied. Always felt like the world needed to give him more that type of human being. Very similar to Donald Trump. Never really had to actually own any of the ramifications of the stuff that he did. Never any accountability across the board. Always someone else did something, and that's why. And you know, Donald Trump putting people like Matt Gaetz and Cash Patel and Pete Hegseth, whose own mother sent an email talking about how he abuses women and what he's done, these horrible things to women. His own mother ripped him apart, and in the email basically said, "You are an abuser of women, and you're disgusting to me." His own mom wrote that to him. That email was published by the New York Times, I believe, and I did another video where I read the whole thing. It's once again, this man was allegedly, being investigated for yet another abuse and blah 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 blah. So these are the people that Donald Trump is surrounding himself by, and then he's got Steve Bannon, who has that podcast, who literally was in jail for stealing 25. Well, no, that's the what he wasn't in jail for yet. That whole build the wall, 25-30 million dollars that was raised. He actually made that all disappear, and he was part of the $500 million that Donald Trump reallocated from the veterans to the build the wall, to that company that was supposed to build the wall for the 500 million and never bothered doing it. But they were paid, but it's okay. He was involved in that too. Yeah, he got pardoned. And the other guy, Roger Stone, who also got pardoned, Mike Flynn, the general, I think. No, not general, admiral, captain, whatever. Scumbag. It doesn't matter what position he held. He's a scumbag. He's a traitor, and he was actually in trouble for doing just that. For being a traitor to this country. Not only did he get pardoned, but he actually has a cabinet position waiting for him, as does Steve Bannon, as does Roger Stone, as does Stephen Miller, the person who not only wants to, whatever. Anyway, these are the people he's putting in. But does it really matter if he's destroying everything? Who's running? What's being destroyed? Does it matter if Marjorie Taylor Greene runs the Department of Education or Linda McMahon runs the Department of Education if they're destroying the Department of Education? Does it matter if Stephen Miller is in charge of, and the other schmuckety schmuck schnauzy guy is in charge of the whole deportation of, everybody who's not pure white? Whether they're illegal or not, because they said so? Does it matter that all the press that someone doesn't agree with actually not only gets shut down and loses their ability to do business, but also gets thrown in jail and prosecuted, possibly executed, as per the words of Donald Trump and his people? somewhere along the lines all mixed together. And the Project 2025 that Trump tried to deny and everyone tried to deny he had anything to do with, even though his name was in 312 times in the writing. Not only is Peter Thiel's little tiny thing, but Peter Thiel is also the guy who put J.D. Vance in the vice president position. He's also the guy who was the main investor to that world market thing, that, that online betting thing, who paid $5 billion for someone who bet the exact figures on what the outcome of the election was going to be. And, yeah, that guy he's also in charge of the Heritage Foundation. Yeah, that knows nothing about Trump, but they're partners, and 48, now 70 some odd people in key positions in his cabinet are Heritage Foundation people or authors of 2025. But it's okay because that guy with the slick back hair, that Bannon guy, actually came out on his podcast and said that Project 2025 has been the plan the entire time. Deal with it now. Um, Republican women. Yeah, yeah, all of that stuff, when you wrap it into, you've got to look at who that person is. Now, if you look back in the history of Donald Trump himself, some things he has always done is surround himself with people that enable him to do whatever the fuck he wants and get away with it. And he has the legal system around where he would have gotten in trouble stacked with his loyalists who have been paid off by his dad or him or his friends or whatever. So no matter what type of trouble he could get into, there's always a padding that actually stops him from getting prosecuted from the trouble. So if he gets back into power and he gets the opportunity to do absolutely anything he wants, amplified by 100, for any amount of paycheck to actually do anything that his people want, amplified by 100, like oil companies who want better regulations, the train companies who had him take those regulations off about safety for hazardous materials on trains with the specialized brakes to make sure it could slow down so it doesn't derail and poison an whole town. Those other things that Trump lifted to save people money and make money for himself. All of those things amplified it with no holds barred, and the worldwide version now. Now, why would someone his entire life who's been conning people, doing everything for money, everything to enhance not only him, but the people around him who have to turn around and re-enhance him because he says so. That's how he does everything. And if you don't like what he does, you sign an NDA and you can never sue about it, talk about it, or anything else. So his secret dies with his wallets or his first wife, who found her way down the stairs 3 days before having to testify against him with his children. Boy, I'm glad his children weren't standing by those stairs. But anyway, that's the man who he has always been. So it's not about Republican or Democrat. It's about the person and him finding like-minded people to join him on his escapades to destroy everything on this planet for personal gain. That is what we're talking about. Now, being a content creator on multiple platforms, I have dealt with a lot of threats from multiple platforms in multiple different colors. And it has gotten to the point of disgusting because it turned political when it was about the person in the first place. And if you want to vote for someone like Donald Trump because he is just like the way you want to be when you grow up, a fake billionaire who abuses women, abuses employees, abuses airports that he doesn't pay, that he lands in, cities that he does rallies in, that he doesn't pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. He doesn't pay the police forces for protecting him. He doesn't pay for toilets for the people at his rallies to actually use while they're at his rallies. He doesn't pay for water or anything for them to cool down or shade because that's extra cost on the rally. But he shouldn't worry about that because he wasn't going to pay the bill anyway. I mean, he only pays for one round trip for the buses, but only for people to get to the place in Coachella, but doesn't pay for them to go back because it saved him probably about $10,000, $20,000 on the night. But did he really pay him anyway? So does it matter? But that's who that person is. It's not the Republican that does that. It's not the Democrat that does that. It is what Donald Trump does as a person. So we need to stop looking at the Republican, Democrat, and that's who we vote for. We need to start looking at the people, and the people who get into positions of power who need to surround themselves with people who will do anything they damn well please. They need to search high and low for those scumbags to follow them down that dirty rabbit hole. And the problem is there's too many of those people available, which is what we see him building for his cabinet. That's what we need to pay attention to. So thank God we've got a prosecutor and a president with immunity and a whole bunch of investigations just showing all this evidence where things could change. Stay diligent, stay educated, be kind. We're all in this together, and it is not over because the people involved, they're the ones that are going to make sure shit's right. God bless.